Hey chat, how do I let go? Hey, what's up? Didn't see you there. So I'm gonna have a quick conversation with ChatGPT about letting go. As you can clearly see, that's what I just input into this chat. And so I want to dive a little bit deeper and show you how I have conversations with ChatGPT and how I get the most out of it. And so that was a very short prompt that I gave it, and you certainly could use that. But I want to explain kind of my methodologies behind prompting, prompt engineering, and how to get the most out of it for personal transformation. Because my name is Nico Rapkulis. If you're new here on the channel, we talk all things about personal development, AI, and business. We merge all three of them together to help you become the best entrepreneur that you possibly can, which I look at entrepreneurship as just a really powerful way to take responsibility for your life and helping other people around you. Okay, so let's dive in, and I'll show you kind of like some tools that I use, some methodologies, some thought processes that I like, and how to like I said, really prompt it. And so, yes, I gave it this, hey chat, how do I let go? And so that's a very simplified prompt, right? And you get whatever you put in is what you get out. And so, it gives you pretty templated, pretty standard, pretty vague answers because of the fact of how I prompted it. Now, with that being said, the more that I have conversations with chat, the more that I give it more context, the more it knows about me. And then therefore, even when I do give it smaller, shorter, simpler prompts, it's going to give me better context because it knows more about me. And that's the thing that I'll always harp on this channel, is that it's all about context, giving it as much context as it possibly can. And so what you noticed likely is that I didn't even type that out. And so I've been sharing this on my videos all the time, but I like to use a app called Whisperflow. I'm not affiliated, although the more I talk about this, the more I probably need to sign up for an affiliate account so that I've gotten them a lot of business. But let's just go through this, right? The essence of letting go. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about giving back control to something higher. It's the difference between trying to grip life and letting life grip you. You don't lose power by releasing, you reclaim it, because you're no longer spending your energy resisting what is. And that's something I'll tell you as well, and that's why I like making these videos too, is like, yes, you can just take these prompts that I give you, or even just the methodology and the thought process of prompting it. But I also like to give you my perspective. And so I've been in the personal development space for practically my whole life. Probably more so when I was like, I guess you could say 10, 12, 15, 18, somewhere around there. So I've just always been fascinated by learning and growing. I've read hundreds and hundreds of personal development books, spent thousands of hours going through courses, masterminds. I mean, you name it. I've created thousands of pieces of content. I've thrown dozens of events. I've just been immersed into personal development. So one of the things that came up as I was talking is that this whole thing is like, you're not resisting what is. And then I heard a quote a while back when I was going through a really challenging period, a breakup, if you will. And it said, the sooner that you can let go of what was, the more that you can accept of what is. So I think the biggest thing that I have understood with letting go, because I would say that historically speaking, I have not been the best at letting go. I've been one to hold on tight to things that I want to be like, this is the way it always is, this is the way it was, and this is the way I want to continue to pull it into the future. But that quote really hit hard for me because of the fact that, like, the more that you can accept what is, the more that you can let go of what was, or vice versa. The more that you can let go of what was, the more that you can accept what is. Let's go to number 2. What you're actually letting go of. You never really let go of the person or the thing. You let go of the illusion of control you had over it, the story you've been telling yourself about it, the identity tied to it. And so that's why we're big on like story. Like, what is the story that you're telling yourself? What is the identity that you have tied to that story? That's something I always think about. I mean, and you got to really immerse that self into your body, not just thinking it. It's a whole different thing about it being in the mind versus it being in the body. And that's why it's so powerful to get into meditation, into breath work, doing somatic things, it's really, really powerful, and it's a practice that you get to continue to evolve over and over. And that's, I mean, we talk about that all the time, and that we couple that very well with the Vision Espresso, where it's like you get into meditation and then you do your Vision Espresso because you're grounded, you're centered, and then you can start implanting those things into your subconscious mind. I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in a second if you're not familiar with it. But it's, the story is everything, and the more that you are aware of the story you're telling yourself, and then being intentional about the story you're telling yourself, the better off you are. So how to practice letting go, real world: name the grip, breathe it and feel it, replace with truth, and then act from peace, not proof. So say out loud what you're still trying to control or fix. I'm trying to make them see my value, or I'm afraid of being misunderstood. Don't skip the sensation. Let the tension rise up. Feel the ache and breathe through it until it softens. Replace truth with speaking something simple. I release this outcome. I trust the process. Act from peace, not from proof. Once you've released it, ask, what would I do if I were already safe, already enough? Then do that. So these are really powerful, journal prompts, if you will. And again, like, I'm kind of always, when I do these type of things, and the reason I do these things is because these are helping, and the fact that I'm having these conversations over and over and over again, I figured I would share them with my YouTube audience as well. So these are things to meditate on. These are things to journal on. These are things to have conversations with chat about, right? So let's go into number 4, Vision Espresso style take. Letting go is like stirring your espresso. It's not about erasing what's there, but blending everything so the flavor is balanced again. When you stop trying to keep the cream up perfect, you just sip. The experience hits you deeper. And so that's something that I mean, it's tying it to Vision Espresso, which is our company, but it's just like experiencing it, trying to, like, instead of trying to like make things perfect and control things and evolve things, it's just about experiencing it. And if you guys would like to just, as I go through this chat, if you guys do want me to share this with you, just share in the comments down below, and I can share this whole thread with you, and we'll continue on this here in a second. But here was one other thing, is that name it, speak it out loud, say it out loud. That's why we're big on this. And we talk about this all the time at Vision Espresso, is like, your words carry energy. Your words are wands. Your words are things. So whatever you speak, I have this tattoo, abracadabra, as I speak, I create. And so be very conscious of the words that you are speaking. So, think about it too, is like your word. Even earlier in this video, I said something around like, historically speaking, I've been a person that has had challenges letting go. So I distinctly talk in that way because that is like basically controlling my reality. It's dictating my reality, if you will, because of the fact that like what you speak is what you're putting out there, is what's going to come back. And so if I were to say something around like, I'm just the kind of person that can't let go, I'm commanding that, right? But if I make a small tweak and say, historically speaking, in the past, before now, I have been the type of person that has had challenges letting go. I'm putting it in the past. I'm not carrying it with me to the future, the present, and holding on to that identity. I'm saying, boom, that was me. It's not me anymore. And so be very conscious of the words that you carry, the words that you speak. And it's kind of a double-sided thing, because what you speak becomes your reality, but then also whatever you speak is just an indicator of what you're already thinking. And it's a lot easier to navigate your words, your talking, than it is your thoughts, because we have like 60,000 thoughts a day, if not more. Depends on who you are. I might be above the threshold on that. So be very conscious of your words. And again, that's why we are very diligent about speaking words that are empowering to you. And that's what we do inside of Vision Espresso. And I'll show you a little bit more about that here in a second. But one other thing I want to talk about here is, instead of just giving it, how do I let go? I would much rather give it so much more context. So with Whisper, all you got to do is hit function. All right, chat. So I understand that was all really valuable, but let's go a little bit deeper. And as you know, I like to give you as much context as I possibly can. So I've had some challenges in the past with letting go of relationships, whether that's business, whether that's friendships, whether that's personal relationships. And even just business things, or people that were working for me, or mentors, or people I worked for. And so I really want to, as I'm making this video, and I'm even making this for my YouTube channel as well, as that I've started doing this a little bit more. So I really want to illustrate how they can let go and how anybody can let go. But I also want to tie this specifically to my situation so that they can see an example of what are some practices and some processes and some methodologies that I can utilize so that I can be much more proficient at letting go. Because I know the quicker that I let go, the less I hold on to things tight that I've done historically in the past, the better I can be. So I'd love for us to put together a really strong protocol for anytime something comes up, allowing me to sit with it, feel that emotion, and then let it go as quickly and efficiently as possible, not bypassing it, but simply just honoring it and then dissolving it and letting it go. So how about we put together a little bit of a protocol, and then even why don't you, with those questions that you asked me, why don't you just, for example purposes and time's sake, why don't you fill in those questions, and then we can continue to workshop this to show people what is really possible. So boom, test that all out, and look how much more context that gives. And really what I would say as this is typing out is that what is really cool with AI is the fact that it's not just like a glorified Google search where it gives you an answer to a question that you have. It's basically taking the situation and then going from there and applying it and directly personalized, customized to your life. I think that's the beautiful thing. I think that's what AI is doing. It's allowing us to scale personalization. So utilize that, and it's going to be really powerful. Okay. So let's call this the Vision Espresso Release Protocol, how to let go without losing heart. The 5-phase release protocol. Awareness, name the grip. What am I still holding on to? Purpose, identity. What part of you is gripping? The story, the identity, the expectation. What am I trying to control, fix, or prove? What feels unfinished or unspoken? I'm trying to control how Kyle sees me. I want to understand my heart, my intentions, my effort, and want closure that might never come. Deep down, I'm afraid he'll misunderstood me, and that reflects something I haven't forgiven in myself. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I have had a situation with someone that was working for me, and continuing to let go of that. But it's ultimately like a mirror for me. So I get to really look at that because I'm looking at how it reflects something that I haven't yet forgiven in myself. Powerful stuff, right? So let me breathe this, not solve it. Let the energy move through your nervous system so it doesn't get stored. And that's really the big thing I shared earlier is like, how do I just continue to let me feel this in my body instead of just trying to think through it? So sit still and breathe it in the nose for 4. Hold 2 and out for 6. When that emotion surfaces, tight chest, heat, lump in the throat, whisper, this belongs. I can hold this. There was a sadness in my chest, a little shaky in my hands. I just breathe with it. I picture the version of me that needed his approval. I see him. I put a hand on my heart and tell him, you're okay, you're free. What is the lesson underneath the loss? Alchemize the emotion into wisdom. This is where you reclaim your authorship. What did this experience reveal about me? What gift did it give? Right? So powerful stuff. And this is, I think, even just coming back to past AI, this is just my perspective on all this, is why it's so important to sit with this energy of anytime you're feeling stuff, instead of trying just to solve it, you got to feel it to heal it. That's what one of my a good friend that's just so evolved, he talks about that. You got to feel it to heal it, right? And so you gotta feel it fully on phase number 2, but then we rewrite the story. You can't just rewrite the story, okay? Otherwise you're bypassing it, and then it's just gonna get stored into your energetic field, right? This showed me my power doesn't come from who stays, it comes from how cleanly I can release. It taught me to lead without attachment, to love without needing return. The gift is discerning and deeper sovereignty. Beautiful. So release, speak it into freedom. Say it out loud, send it back. Again, your voice is so, so powerful. And the more enthusiasm, the more oomph, the more passion, the more conviction you put into that voice, the more powerful it is. Right? I release the need to control this outcome. I bless person or situation with peace and freedom. I call back all my energy from this story, cleansed and whole. Right? I release Kyle from my expectations. I release myself from his perception. I send people to his path and power to mine. I reclaim all my creative energy and build what's next. Beautiful. And again, like I've even realized this a lot. Like sometimes I can get very monotone and like that's when my energy is really low. But even when I'm speaking this, and that's why I love making YouTube videos, it like forces me to speak with more power and conviction, and helps me elevate my energy, because your energy, your vocal tonality is the dial to your energy. That was a really powerful statement that I got from a mentor a while back. Right? So the more that you can just passionately bring words into your life, the more powerful it is. Okay. So phase number 5, redirection. Choose a higher focus. Where does energy want to go now? Reintegrate your freed energy into purpose and movement. What I create, commit to, or embody now that I've released this. Okay. I'm channeling this freed energy into clean leadership, clear systems, joyful execution, inspired creation. Every release becomes fuel for greater flow. Boom. Right. So that's kind of the gist, guys. That was a little, exercise in letting go for me personally. So it was really powerful just to go through that process. And probably one of the biggest things is like the vocal tonality, the words, the energy that you carry, the energy you put out is what's ultimately going to come back. But I love this, it's such a good reminder. I think one of the big things too is you got to feel it fully. You got to name it so it's like real. Okay. And instead of just like kind of avoiding it, I know that's what I can do. I'll be like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But when you name it and you say, hey, this is exactly what's going on, then you feel it fully. And I think this isn't just like a one step process that I do in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but this is why meditation with these type of prompts is really good. Journaling with these prompts, doing whatever. I love getting out in nature as well, even sharing this with friends or, colleagues or mastermind members that can really hold space for me. That's powerful. But going through this process of naming it, being aware of it, having the presence to feel it fully, reframe, write the story, and then release it, speak it into freedom. You'll know how much speaking there is, and then choosing a higher focus, right? So really, really powerful stuff. And so again, that's why we're so big on speaking things out and your story. And if you're not familiar with what Vision Espresso is all about, that's exactly what it is. We start everybody with our vision quiz. So it helps you get really clear on where you're at, know where you are clear, where you're stuck, and how to shift that fast. Because after you go through your vision quiz, then you will get access to our Vision Espresso app where you can do your 7-day shot or your 75 easy. We start everybody on the 7-day shot after the vision quiz. But that is when you take the clarity that you just acquired from the vision quiz, you get a vision score, and then it'll actually help you shift that vision score significantly. We've had people that elevated their clarity by like 40% in a matter of 20 minutes. But then you take that clarity and then you apply it to putting it together with a customized audio from your future self that's in your voice that you get to listen to every day. So it's basically like walking through that 5-step process that we just did now every single day when you're meditating, when you're sitting down and listening to your future self speak to you and put life in you. So that's what it's all about. There's a link down in the video description. But thank you for watching this video. Make sure and subscribe. And if you're all the way to the end here, put a tree emoji down in the comments. Let me know that you are a tree that's always looking to just grow. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you on the next one.